Okay, y'all. So I honestly have just been feeling so inspired to create videos for you guys, sitting down and talking to you based off of the things I just experienced with my clients, based off of the things I've been experiencing with myself, just like as a woman, as an entrepreneur. And this is one that I've just seen so many coaches struggle with. It's something I struggled with myself. And I want you guys to be able to avoid it, because if you're a solopreneur watching this and you haven't made your first hire, stick around. And if you are somebody who is an entrepreneur, you've made multiple hires in your business, maybe you have one team member, a few team members, this is so important for you guys to watch. Okay, first off, also let me show you guys this. Mikhail, my partner, literally made this whole entire house so on brand. Our brand colors are gold and green. He whole ass got velvet chairs that are gold and green. So we're gonna stay on brand while we do this video. Okay, so here's the thing. When you go from being a solopreneur to an entrepreneur, you're oftentimes delegating to other people on your team. Now, I will tell you guys, I have two teams. I have a total of 23 people across the two of my teams that run both my companies. I have a fitness coaching company and I have the Wealthy Women's Business Academy, where I do business coaching for women who are coaches. Across these two teams, I have been able to delegate. I've been able to put leaders in positions where they monitor and look over the delegation systems that we have in place for quality assurance checks, to make sure that everything is getting executed on, to make sure we have SOPs, operating procedures that anybody could follow, literally a 6-year-old could read. And I make sure that I do this because here's the thing. As you start to scale your company, you start to pull out of certain tasks. And as you start to pull out of certain tasks, you delegate them to other people in the business. When you delegate to somebody, it's so crucial that you delegate to them with clarity. And not even just with clarity, but also ask them for reiteration. Every single time that you delegate a task to somebody, you want to ask them if they fully understand the task. And then you want to ask them to reiterate what the task is. Now, in my company, I'm really big on autonomy. So one of the things is sometimes I'll give someone a task and say, go figure it out. And I'll have no idea what the answer is myself, because their level of expertise is what's required to actually execute on the task. And that is something that's really important. But if you do that, you always want to let them know, hey, this is the end outcome that I would like to get to, and here's the problem I want solved. Go figure it out and don't come back until you figure it out, or you have questions for figuring it out. That's a major part of the delegation process. What I see so many coaches and so many entrepreneurs doing is starting to delegate, but then almost having this kind of like chip on their shoulder about the delegation process. And here's what I mean about this. People will delegate, they'll give somebody a task and not give them clarity, and then get angry at the team member when there's no clarity around it because they didn't bring it back complete in the way that they wanted to. If you as an entrepreneur not sharing what the end outcome is, you really can't get mad at your team. Not only that, but if you didn't create clarity around the task, they probably are going to be really confused themselves and not know how to do it. Now, the other side of the chip on the shoulder comes down to this. Once a CEO starts to delegate tasks, they feel like they have to completely pull themselves out of the position so that they can never do the task again. I'm going to give you guys an example. Once you hire a VA who does messaging and does DM outreach for you to start generating leads, or maybe even just a VA who checks over payments and cancellations, if you are going to completely remove yourself from that side of the business, you better have a standard operating procedure in place so that that person knows exactly how to execute on it. And also, if they're out for a day, you better know how to get back in there. I always make this reference for when I worked back at McDonald's. I worked the drive-through window, and I was one of the best people I know up at that drive-through window. And my manager for so long kept me up there for so long that one day she's like, hey, I need to come in and do the window because I haven't done it in a few weeks. And I want to make sure that I'm able to continue doing through the process. And I was like, wow, that's actually pretty awesome, because you can't forget how to do this, because if you do, you can't reteach it to anybody else. It's the same thing in our business. If we hand off outreach and then all of a sudden we forget how to do it, what happens if that position turns over? Or what happens if we start to lose sight of our vision because we're not connecting to people in our DMs? We can't get chips on our shoulder about the delegation process and be like, no, I'm not doing that because I handed it off. I get it, it's important. But let's look at business. Is that, would you be able to retrain that position? Are you able to step back in simply because you care about your company and you care about all other aspects of your company? I get that you're not probably going to have time to pull in, and that's the whole reason that you've delegated it out. But you want to make sure that you still stay firm and understand what's happening. You should be able to zoom out in your company and still have a full wide range view of everything that's happening. Because if anyone ever turns over, they get fired, they quit, whatever it might be, you need all the SOPs and you need to understand how to redelegate all those tasks or pick them back up yourself. I've been completely humbled. I stepped back into our sales role just a few weeks ago, and part of me was like, oh my gosh, like this is so weird, this is so different. I haven't done sales calls in so long. And I'm so grateful I did, because it reconnected me to our vision and made me feel so amped up, so hyped up, up. Not only that, but also I was able to go back and look at all our systems, make sure we have standard operating procedures for everything, and make sure that we're executing on those consistently. So if you guys are going to be making hires and you're going to be delegating out, you need to make sure you delegate with clarity is number one. Number two is when you delegate with clarity, ask for reiteration so you make sure that the team member knows the end result, what you're looking for, and when it's due. That's really important, okay? Next is when you guys are delegating tasks out, once you delegate a task and you're no longer the one doing it, you want to make sure that you have a quality assurance check on this. So I'm going to give you guys a quick example. I have my coaches doing all the coaching on my fitness coaching company. I have a protocol audit done every single week to make sure their clients are checking in, to make sure their clients are seeing results, and to make sure that their clients are compliant and that they're following our coaching procedures and structure and framework that I've installed. The reason I do that is because the minute that I stop watching over that, it can start to slip. Maybe they're not reinforcing our client standards, our client success standards, and then I'm faced with our clients not seeing progress and results, and that is the most important thing in my company. It's important that if you do start to offload things, you also have a quality assurance check for them. It's the same thing once you start to outsource messaging. If you're going to outsource to a VA, you need to make sure you have a quality assurance check, because if that VA is not using your voice, if they're not booking you calls, if they're talking in a way that just sounds completely incongruent, you're going to put off a lot of people. And that's the last thing you want to do with your brand. Everything that you do in your company needs to completely align with the brand and the vision that you have, the values, the principles, and the vision that you're working towards. And if it doesn't, you have to integrate a quality assurance check or fire that person, okay? Because everything that you do, once you delegate it out, it needs a quality assurance check, meaning you as a CEO start to zoom out, and maybe you're not doing the tasks, but you're making sure that the tasks are consistently reinforced in a way that aligns with the vision, the values, and the principles that you've set in place for the framework of your company. This is where I see so many coaches going wrong. What ends up happening is they end up blaming team members, they get frustrated, they're upset that their vision isn't being installed, they're upset that their values aren't feeling aligned, and they end up even feeling really incongruent with their companies sometimes. And then what ends up happening is you have a staff that's constantly mad at you or constantly on edge because you're always reprimanding them instead of making a collaborative effort to help support them as a team. So if you're a coach and you're somebody who is looking to make your first hire, or maybe you've made your first few hires, I cannot tell you guys enough how important it is for y'all to make sure that you have a quality assurance check on all the systems across the board as you start to delegate them. Once you get to that 10 to 20K mark and then the 20 to 50K mark in your business, you're constantly going to be handing things off. It's important you have standard operating procedures in place, and it's important that you have a quality assurance check to make sure all those standard operating procedures are getting done the right way that you've installed them on a week-to-week basis. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I know not all of you are scaling your companies up to the 20 to 30 to 50K mark right now per month, but I know a lot of you guys are going to be making your first hires, or are contemplating making your first hire, or maybe making your next team hire. So hopefully this video was helpful. If you guys want more videos like this where I talk about team hires, outsourcing, delegation processes, let me know. You guys can let me know in the comments down below. But I love you guys, and I will catch you in the next video.